Hey guys, if you're new to Deception Bites, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back and it is Sunday, October 6th, and it is 8:11 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope you're all doing well this evening. I am ready to get into the news, but first I do want to thank a few people here. Let me get over here where I need to be. We've got two new Patreon subscribers, Ron B and Kim S. Thank you so much. Your support is very, very much appreciated and needed, and I do thank you. And also, coffee donations, Joanna D. I know who you are. You call me girly. All right, and Sharon A. No, Joanna D. That's not the right one. It is Sharon A. That's the one. But thank you, Joanna D. Sharon A. Kim, an anon, which obviously they want to remain anonymous, so I won't dox them. And Robin P. Thank you guys so much. I really can't do this without you, as you all know. So it is very much appreciated. All right. Well, let's go on with the news. And I'm going to skip a few things because I want to get to the most important things first. And then we will, if we have time left, what I'll do is I'll go back to the less important things. All right. Now, I found this tweet here from Donald J. Trump, and it says the Biden family was paid off. Pure and simple. The fake news must stop making excuses for something that is totally inexcusable. Sleepy Joe said he never spoke to the Ukrainian company. And then the picture came out where he was playing golf with the company boss, Ann Hunter. And of course, we also have him on a recording where he is bragging about that he basically bribed them to fire the guy that was looking into his son, Hunter Biden. And they followed suit. And we have the Ukrainians saying the same thing. So we know that that is the truth. And the tweet goes on below. It says, and by the way, I would love running against 1% Joe Biden. I just don't think it's going to happen. Sleepy Joe won't get to the starting gate, and based on all of the money he and his family probably extorted, Joe should hang it up. I wouldn't want him dealing with China and you. I guess China and Ukraine is what he means. So there you go. And we know, of course, that Joe Biden is no threat because, Donald Trump is pulling in thousands and thousands of people no matter where he goes. Really rock star status. But of course, if you watch the media, you're never going to hear that. But based on the pictures that we see from other patriots and so forth, everything is packed out and thousands waiting outside. It doesn't matter what auditorium he is speaking in, it is packed to the rafters. So Joe Biden, he pulls in maybe 30, 40 people, 100 at the most. So we know that the polls are not telling the true story. So let's go on here, and we're going to get into this because Joe Biden's son Hunter isn't the only one that has been in trouble. No, Joe Biden's niece has also been in trouble with a credit card scam. So it's not just Joe's brother and his son, it's also his niece. So let's take a look at this. All right. Joe Biden's niece dodges jail after a $100,000 credit card scam. Now, of course, this was on June 9th, 2017, and it's from the New York Post. But of course, now that he is running for president, it's pertinent. And I had never seen this before. And if I did, I most certainly didn't pay attention to it because Joe Biden wasn't of any consequence. But he certainly is now. The wild child niece of former VP Biden stole more than $100,000 in a credit card scam and quietly cut a plea deal in Manhattan court that spares her any jail time. The Post has learned using a borrowed credit card, the blonde Carolyn, or I'm not sure if she pronounces it Carolyn or Caroline, Biden set up an unauthorized customer account at Bigelow Pharmacy on 6th Avenue in Greenwich Village and racked up the six-figure bill over the course of a year. That's a lot of money to rack up at a pharmacy, if you ask me. $100,000? I mean, what medication is she on? Anyway, according to, she racked up the six-figure bill over the course of a year, according to the criminal complaint that does not name the victim card owner. So she set this account up at this pharmacy under a different, under somebody else's name. Basically, she stole their identity. As a part of a plea deal before Manhattan Supreme Court Justice Kevin McGrath, Biden, 29, pleaded guilty to one charge of grand larceny and another of petite larceny, and agreed to make a restitution of $110,810.04. If she pays everything back and keeps her nose clean, she can return to court and enter a substitute plea to a lower misdemeanor charge of petite larceny and be sentenced to 2 years probation. But she'll stay out of jail even if she fails to live up to the plea deal, instead getting sentenced on the felony larceny to 5 years probation. Defense lawyer Ira London declined to comment. Biden was also in Manhattan criminal court in 2014 on charges of resisting arrest. And when it says Biden here, they're talking about Carolyn or Caroline Biden, was also in Manhattan criminal court in 2014 on charges of resisting arrest, obstruction of justice, and harassment stemming from a dust-up with her Tribeca roommate. In that case, a Silver Spoon Georgetown University graduate was accused of taking a swing at a female cop who responded in September 2013 to a drag-out fight over unpaid rent between Biden and her roommate. "I shouldn't be handcuffed," cops said Biden railed at the time. "You don't know who you're doing this to." Excuse me. She was given another sweetheart deal in that case, a promise that the charges would be dismissed if she stayed out of trouble for 6 months. Oh, sorry. And let me just click this off here. And the charges were eventually dismissed and sealed. Biden didn't even have to show up in court to get that deal. Her then lawyer, James Ligori, told under a Manhattan judge that she was served her second rehab stint at Caron Renaissance Ocean Drive, a posh inpatient facility in Delray Beach, Florida. She was there for anger management. Her lawyer told the judge the facility only treats anger in the context of a broader drug addiction treatment, the facility told the Post at the time. So obviously, and it would be interesting to know if this niece is the son or is the daughter of Hunter Biden. That would be extremely interesting to know. Excuse me, let me take a drink. Kombucha. It's good for what ails you. All right. So it would be very interesting, to me at least, to see if this is the daughter of Hunter Biden, because we know that Hunter had a cocaine addiction, probably still does, was kicked out of the U.S. Navy for his cocaine addiction, and then 6 months later is receiving $50,000 a month. Now, I've heard 50,000 and I've heard more than that. I've heard in upwards of $100 and some thousand a month to work for this board of this Ukrainian Burisma, and he didn't even have any experience. It's a little odd. But we, of course, know that that was due to his connections with his father. So, in the new credit case, Biden had borrowed the unidentified victim's Chase credit card in order to make a single purchase at Bigelow, totaling $672. Instead, between April 5th, 2015 and June 24th, 2016, she admittedly went on a buying binge. Well, apparently she did. And I mean, how do you go on a buying binge worth $100,000 at a pharmacy? I would like to know that. Really? Wouldn't you? It just seems a little odd to me. She was arrested and arraigned on May 5th, and Friday was her second court appearance. Carolyn, I'm not sure. I believe the way this is written, it's probably Caroline's father, James Biden Sr., is the financier, brother of the vice president. All right. So actually, Yeah. Let's go on here. I think we've had enough of that. And click out of there. And let's go back. Okay, now let's take a look at this. Along the same lines, this as well is about Biden. It says, and this by Jack Brasobic, did you know in 2011, Joe Biden's younger brother James joined construction firm Hillstone as an executive? That firm received a government contract worth more than $1 billion. Yes, that's billion with a B, to build houses in Iraq while Joe oversaw the U.S.-led occupation of that country. No conflict of interest there. Right. Okay. And let's go on here. Let me see if he has any more here. I thought he had more tweets about this, but it turns out he may not. But we'll go on to this one as well. And look how it turned out. U.S. construction firm admits mistake over Iraq investment. U.S. construction firm admits mistake over Iraq investment. Hill International founder says it was wrong to invest in the failed Hillstone housing project. Gee, no kidding. So, yeah, billion. Seems like a lot of his family get rich because of him. Do you notice that? Well, including himself. He's definitely enriched himself on the backs of the American taxpayers, but so has his family. And if you look at Nancy Pelosi and several of the others, you find the same thing. So, not surprising. And Jack Brasobic said after the deal didn't pan out, Joe's son Hunter went off to form a company called Rosemont Seneca. And of course, that's very familiar to us all, and set his sights on Europe and Asia. Let me see if there's another tweet from Jack here. And there isn't. So let's go on. We've got a lot to get to tonight. Okay, and this is interesting. Let's take a look at this. This is about Adam Schiff. Now, 61 House Republicans join movement to condemn Adam Schiff. Now, that is good news, at least to us, because if anyone belongs behind bars, it's Adam Schiff. In fact, he deserves far worse than that, because he definitely falls under the definition of treason. The literal dictionary definition of treason. He fits it. So let's take a look here. 61 House Republicans have sponsored a resolution condemning House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff for deliberately misrepresenting a phone conversation between President Donald Trump and Ukrainian Volodymyr Zelensky. 61 Republicans have co-sponsored House Freedom Caucus Chairman Andy Biggs' Resolution H, Resolution 604, to condemn Schiff for retelling a fabricated conversation between Trump and Zelensky. The bill has gained rapid support in the House. Chairman Biggs sponsored the bill last week, to which it quickly gained 18 co-sponsors. On Thursday, Breitbart News reported that 45 House Republicans have joined the resolution. Now, as of Friday afternoon, 61 House Republicans have co-sponsored the bill. When Biggs sponsored the bill, he said that Schiff's stunt was inexcusable to mislead the American public with such a statement. The Republicans have co-sponsored Biggs' resolution to condemn Schiff, or rather, the Republicans that have co-sponsored Biggs' resolution to condemn Schiff include. Now, without even looking at this list, I can tell you who's not on it. And I bet you could too. I bet Mitt Romney isn't on there. I bet you any money. I bet there's a few others that aren't on there either. But let's look if any of these are your representatives. They are supporting Biggs' resolution to condemn Schiff. So I think we all should be happy about that. Kevin McCarthy from California, Steve Scalise, Louisiana, Liz Cheney, Wyoming, Liz Cheney. Mark Meadows, North Carolina. Jim Jordan, Ohio. Matt Gaetz, Florida. Mark Walker, North Carolina. Elise Stefanik, New York. Jim Sensenbrenner, Wisconsin. Mike Rogers, Michigan. Mike Johnson, Louisiana. I see LA and I automatically think Los Angeles, but I should be thinking Louisiana because I used to live there. So Mike Johnson, Louisiana. Mark Green, Tennessee. Jeff Duncan, South Carolina. Mo Brooks, Alabama. Scott Perry, Pennsylvania. Greg Stube, Florida. Guy Reschenthaler. I've probably mishandled his name, so forgive me if I have. Pennsylvania. Rick Crawford, Arizona. Michael Burgess, Texas. Paul Gosar, Arizona. Bill Posey, Florida. Warren Davidson, Ohio. Okay, I'm not going to go through all these, but it is out there on Breitbart News if you wish to see if your particular representative, which way that they are leaning. So again, this is Breitbart News, and if you just look up 61 House Republicans join movement to condemn Adam Schiff, you will find this article. And I am going to be, and this should make a lot of you very happy because so many of you have asked, can you please, include all the links to everything that you are covering? And, at the time I thought, no, I can't. But really, I'm reading it off of a Word document that I prepare beforehand. So really, it's not that much more work to just upload it. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be uploading it to Patreon. Now, it might not start tonight. It won't start tonight, but I am going to be starting the first of the week to include the links so that you are able to find these links for yourself and, make a determination on your own, because I know that it goes by quickly and I read quickly and sometimes people miss it and they want also to have the links to pass on to other people. So I am going to be doing that. You'll be able to find it on Patreon, and no, you do not have to be a Patreon supporter to be able to view it. I don't want to do that because I know that there are some of you on fixed incomes that really do not have money to spare, and I just don't feel like I should deny you the links just because you're on a fixed income. That's not right. So it will be there for everyone. All right. Now, so let's come down here, and this by Kevin McCarthy. Chairman Adam Schiff has been lying to the American people for years, and yes, he has. And I would really like to know what happened at the Standard Hotel. I think the American people deserve to know. Anyway, he's been lying to the American people for years. Now he is so desperate to damage the president that he literally made up a false version of a phone call. Enough is enough. I have signed a resolution to censure Schiff in the House of Representatives, and that is good news. And I'll tell you, it's bad enough that he made up a conversation, but it's really bad when the conversation, the transcript of the conversation was released to the American public. Because, I think he was just hoping that most people are going to take what CNN and whatever it dishes out and not check for themselves. Well, that's not us. That's not what we do. So, yeah, it's pretty evident that the conversation that he swore to, that was in the essence of what Trump's conversation, was not the essence at all. It was complete fabrication. All right, now let's go back and see what other trouble we can get into. Now, remember the other day, I think it was yesterday actually, that I mentioned that I had seen a clip of Nancy Pelosi drunk. And, and that's not surprising. I mean, she racks up $1,000 bar tab on the taxpayers. It comes straight out of the taxpayers' money. That $1,000 bar tab that she runs up and are jetting back and forth from California to Washington. So we know there's probably a drinking problem there, but at least we can surmise. But now this goes beyond her usual flubs and silly things she says. She's slurring her words. There's something amiss here. So I did find this again, and I thought that you guys might like to to hear this. Now, I know it's like nails on a chalkboard. I don't like listening to her either, but let's just take a listen to this. Okay, let me... Well, I like what this SSD has to say about this. Apparently, gin and tonic affects her brain as well as her dentures. So, yes, we know the problem with her dentures and that she likes to chew on them. But let's just listen to this.
And then he had a press conference in the Rose Garden with all this sort of visuals that obviously were planned long before I said most currently that he was engaged in a cover-up. So it's really sad. And here's the thing. And I told this to the room when he came in and made that statement, and then he walked out, and you got the Secretary of the Treasury, you got all the this, that, and the other thing, and a distinguished group of members from the House and Senate, Democrats, said, 200 years ago, Thomas Jefferson tasked his Secretary of the Treasury, the other one was standing right there, to develop a infrastructure initiative for America, to build into the Louisiana Purchase, the Lewis and Clark expedition with the Erie Canal, the Cumberland Road, all those kinds of things for America. 100 years later, Teddy Roosevelt instituted his infrastructure initiative, the National Park Service, the Green.
Now, I don't want to torture you any longer. We've listened to 1 minute and 24 seconds of this, and clearly her speech is slurred, especially to those of us that are used to listening to her. So absolutely, she's obviously had a liquid lunch, or maybe she's having a medical problem, because we do know that she is prone to Alzheimer type moments quite often recently. So I don't know if it's a medical problem or what. I can't make that determination because none of us know for sure, but it is odd. And it kind of goes in line, to me, to my thinking, kind of goes in line hand in hand with $1,000 a week bar tab. I'm just saying. So let's go on from there. I don't want to belabor that and play another minute of it because it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. And also this video is not well done. It's extremely blurry to me. So I know that those of you that are listening on your tiny little phones are finding it very hard to see. So let's go on and let's go back and see what other trouble that we can get into. I don't remember what this is actually, but let's go look. I'm sure if I pulled this link out, it was something I wanted you guys to know. Oh, yes. This by MX Marine Mom, and she from Twitter, and she said, want to see what sedition looks like? Pelosi, Schumer, Schiff, Warner signed names to it. Now, it says, showdown in letter, Pelosi, Schumer, Schiff, Warner order intel agencies to ignore presidential order on declassification until consulting with Congress. Now, can you believe that? Well, it's there. Now, if I click on this to make it bigger, it does not make it bigger. Otherwise, I would do that for those of you that are on your phones. But I can barely make out what this says, but I can. It says, in light of the assurances you provided, we request an immediate briefing to the Gang of 8 from your prior to any disclosure of the affected material by your agencies to anyone at the White House, among other issues of concern. We will need you to clarify in person. And then there are 3 bullet points. One is the exact review process that will be undertaken, including the White House's role in visibility into this process and the specific White House officials expected to be involved. 2, your agency's proposed redactions and plans to protect investigative equities and sources and methods, including efforts to mitigate harm that may result from these disclosures. And 3, how you intend to comply with statutes binding on the president and the executive branch officers and employees, including the Privacy Act. Your agency's review and any communication with the White House on the substance of the material should not proceed further until you have briefed the Gang of 8 in person. Gee, that doesn't go against procedures. Right. Okay, well, and look, here are the signatures, and I recognize those signatures. Your agency's review and any communicate. Okay, and then it says sincerely, and we've got Nancy Pelosi and her signature. We've got Charles E. Schumer, Chuck Schumer, and we've got Adam B. Schiff, and we've got otherwise known as Little Adam Schiff, and we've got Mark R. Warner. So isn't that interesting? And down below, it says Pelosi, Schumer, Schiff, Warner, they wrote a seditious letter and signed their names to it. You know, these people really are stupid. You know, if you're going to write something like that, don't sign your name to it. The letter is the only evidence needed. It proves sedition. Done. I would agree. Quite gobsmacking, isn't it? Absolutely. All right. Well, let's go back and see what other trouble we can get into. And I do have an update from Code Monkey, otherwise known as Ron. And he said, after a few weeks of building new groundwork to better protect user privacy and security, we are now in the final stretches before getting things back online. Beta testing of infrastructure is in progress, verifying and confirming that all systems are functioning as expected. So they are doing beta testing even now as we speak, and I would assume that if everything tests out well and the infrastructure is solid, then it's going to be back online, possibly even this week. That would be amazing. I know we're all waiting for that, and we have been for quite some time, so that is good news to us all. And I don't know if Ron is listening, but if you are, thank you from all of us. Your work is very much appreciated, and it does not go unnoticed. So thank you very much from all of us. And let's go on now. We still have more time, and we're going to look at this. Again, we are on Adam Schiff. Ukrainian who raised money for Adam Schiff's campaign received lucrative defense contracts. Now, this is today, in the news today, so this is fresh news. Very, very interesting. But that's what we've come to expect from this gang. Pay to play, right? So it says opinion, if you're wondering why the Democrat spin engineers and Representative Adam Schiff are apoplectic over Rudy Giuliani's Ukraine investigation, it's not because they're concerned about protecting a corrupt ex-vice president and fading presidential candidate. Evidence is beginning to point to Ukraine as Democrats' corruption central for money and election interference, and that has been true all along. I remember the very first time when I heard somebody say, no, you shouldn't be looking at Russia, you should be looking at the Ukraine. And I thought they were nuts. Not so much anymore. This is where it all stemmed from. Now, this from Fox News. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff, who has played a leading role in investigating the Trump-Ukraine scandal, is facing questions about his own connection to a Soviet-born businessman who has raised money for his campaign and whose company has received lucrative defense contracts from Ukraine's government. Things that make you go, The man is Igor Pasternak, the founder and CEO of Worldwide Aerospace Corp, which makes blimps for military and commercial customers. His business has also been involved in weapons manufacturing, working with the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense to produce a modified version of the M4 and M16 rifles, according to reports. In 2013, Pasternak hosted a fundraiser in Washington for Schiff, who later came to embrace a strong stance in support of the United States sending military aid to Ukraine during its conflict with Russia. So, yeah. So this Pasternak hosted a fundraiser in Washington for Schiff. Isn't that interesting? Then Schiff, who was against sending military aid to Ukraine, suddenly changed his mind. Wonder how that works. Yeah, greasing the palms is how that works. Before this time, Schiff rarely, if ever, mentioned Ukraine. Fox News' Laura Ingraham said on her show Thursday night, after detailing Schiff's connection to Pasternak, but after the fundraiser, he used multiple television appearances to basically demand that we send money to and arms to them. Well, gee. Laura Ingraham, why isn't anyone asking more questions about Schiff's place at the center of the left's new Ukraine hysteria? Well, that's a good question, isn't it? I would like to know the very same thing, and I bet you would as well. Why isn't anyone asking? Well, I think we know the answer to that, really. But while Ingraham correctly points out that there's nothing illegal about Pasternak's doing fundraisers for Schiff, and no, there isn't. There's nothing wrong or illegal about him doing fundraisers for Schiff, and factoring in Schiff's apparent change of heart once he received the money, this has all the appearance of another pay-to-play scheme involving the corrupt Ukrainian government and members of the Democratic Party. Yeah. And this from Trump Soldier. Rudy Giuliani drops Ukrainian collusion bomb on Democrats. Ukrainian collusion, which was large, significant, and proven with Hillary Clinton, with the DNC. When the rest of this comes out and we look at China, this will be a lot bigger than Spiro Agnew. They have fallen into a trap. Now, I'd like to believe that too. I really do. I personally believe that right now, but I'm hoping that it's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. All right, Giuliani, Ukrainian collusion was the large, significant, and proven with Hillary Clinton, with the Democratic National Committee, with Chalupa, with the ambassador, with an FBI agent who has now been hired by George Soros, who has been funding a lot of this. The new prosecutor dropped the case not just on Biden's kid and the crooked company he worked for, Burisma. He also dropped the case on George Soros' company, where there's documentary evidence that they were producing false information about Trump, about Biden. Fusion GPS was there. Nellie Orr says that there was a lot of contact between Democrats and Ukraine. And of course, now we know that to be a fact. And this from Donald Trump: as president, I have an obligation to end corruption, even if that means requesting the help of a foreign country or countries. It is done all the time. This has nothing to do with politics or a political campaign against the Bidens. This does have to do with their corruption. And going on, it says, we are unsure of the true nature of this situation. That being said, you have to admit it does not look great for Mr. Schiff. However, he, like every American, is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. So, yeah, he's innocent until he's proven guilty. However, he's been proven guilty about quite a lot of things. So it's not a huge stretch of the imagination to think he's guilty here as well. That would be my opinion on it anyway. So let's go on here. We have a little bit more to get to. And I'm not sure whether to get to the, well, yeah, let's take a look at this. It's at around the 20-minute mark. It's proof of treason. Let me see here.
2000.
Okay, and this from Judicial Watch. So let's listen to It's Tom Fitt. Yes, yes. Sometimes with all the names that I have to remember after all these videos that I've done, I sometimes, have to hesitate for a minute to get somebody's name. But of course, this is Tom Fitz, and he does a wonderful job as the head of Judicial Watch. So let's go to just slightly before the 20-minute mark. And this came out by Black Conservative Patriot on his news channel, which is a very good channel if any of you are so inclined, and probably a lot of you already listen to Black Conservative Patriot, but if not, he does do a wonderful job. So this is, we're cutting into this video at the 20-minute mark, and we can listen to Tom Fitton explain what really is proof of treason.
Outside her official .gov or whatever the domain was that she should be using. Of course, this is huge news that you're not going to hear from the complicit media.
It's an email that had been sent. Essentially, the email reads, it's a report on WikiLeaks. And the report is redacted heavily. And it's sent to Hillary Clinton and top officials at the State Department. Someone else forwards it on, and it includes Mrs. Clinton's private email address that she was misusing for government business. And Daniel Baer, who is an Obama State Department Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, writes to Posner, who had forwarded this email on with Hillary Clinton's email. Baer writes, "Be careful. You just gave the Secretary's personal email address to a bunch of folks." Posner answers, "Should I say don't forward? Did you notice?" "Yeah, I just know that she guards it pretty closely." What does this show? It shows the State Department knew Hillary Clinton was using her email,
That's right.
her non-governmental email, to conduct government business. It shows that Hillary Clinton didn't want many people to know about the fact that she was doing this. It also shows that the State Department covered it up. Why does it show the State Department covered it up? Because they refused to give it to us, even though they knew they had it. We found out about it only as a result of discovery, just recently given to us by a federal court judge. A top official at the State Department, or a former top records official at the State Department, testified that he reviewed it in late 2013 and 14. Did you hear that? 2013 and 14. They knew 6 years ago, at least, of course it goes back further than that Hillary Clinton was using government email, personal email for government business. And they weren't telling anyone about it. They were hiding it. This wasn't produced to Judicial Watch. Actually, it was produced to Judicial Watch. It was produced to us previously in a redacted form that hid Hillary Clinton's email, that she had received it, and the specifics that she didn't want it shared with anyone. They hid it from us. It's a cover-up. And we pushed them to give us the complete email that the witness testified about because the court told us just a few weeks ago we can get it. And they were still playing games with us. And they only gave it to us after our lawyers threatened to go to court to compel its release. So the Justice Department and State Department were still trying to cover up from Hillary for Hillary Clinton as recently as 10 days ago.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
So we have even more proof of the guilty parties, and we are paying.
And I'm going to cut it off right there because it goes back to his commentary, Black Conservative Patriot. But we know that Judicial Watch, there's so much information that we just would not have, except that Judicial Watch keeps pushing and pushing and pushing through the Freedom of Information Act to get these documents. And when you think about it, if you were, accused of a crime, and you were the emails on your server at home were, subpoenaed or whatever they call that. They were requested, and you went home and bleach bitted. I don't know what the the term there is, but she used a bleach bit on them. So how would that go over if if she were just a normal, regular person and the emails had been requested by a prosecutor, and she goes home and she uses bleach bit on them. How would that go over? Well, you or I would be in jail right now if it was us. But it's not us. It's her. And she's had people covering for her at every bend in the road. So anyway, let's go back here and let's go on. Now I'm going to skip over this stuff on Planned Parenthood right now because I think that it kind of is out of the flow of tonight. So I will come back and bring that to you at another time. But let's look at this from Charlie Kirk. He says, so let me get this straight. Deleting 33,000 emails after a subpoena. So yes, I was right. They were subpoenaed. The emails were subpoenaed, and she destroyed them after she received the subpoena. So let me get this straight. Deleting 33,000 emails after a subpoena, lying about the deaths of 4 Americans in Benghazi, sending billions in cash to Iran, directing the IRS to target conservatives were not impeachable offenses, but a perfect phone call with Ukraine is? Yeah, that's exactly where we're at. Exactly where we're at. And Charlie Kirk does very well at putting things quite succinctly. So let's go on here. We have a few more minutes. And of course, Donald J. Trump about Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney never knew how to win. He is a pompous ass who has been fighting me from the beginning, except when he begged me for endorsement for his Senate run. I gave it to him. And when he begged me to be Secretary of State, I didn't give it to him. He is so bad for Republicans. Well, yes, because he's a Republican in name only. You know, if you ask me. So he's red on the outside and blue on the inside, if you ask me. I think that's a perfect description of him. So he should just, go on over to the dark side because he's pretty close to it now. All right, now this might take a little bit longer than I have, so I'm going to go down to this one and let's look at this, shall we? Of course we shall, and we will. All right. Rashida Tlaib hit with House Ethics Committee investigation. Oh, well. Now, this is a few days old. It was posted October 1st, so it's not new news. It's kind of like medium news, I guess. I don't know. It's not old news yet, but it's not as fresh as we'd like it. Let's put it that way. So, radical Democrat Representative Rashida Tlaib is currently being probed by the House Ethics Committee for payments she made to herself after she won her election in 2018. Oh, these people. Candidates are allowed to make a salary from their campaigns until Election Day. However, Tlaib paid herself tens of thousands of dollars after the election in November. How do you like that? I'd like to say that I'm shocked, but I'm not. She's the most anti-American, well, her and what's her face? Gosh, I can't remember her name now. I don't know, I'm having a brain fade. But anyway, of course, AOC is definitely anti-American, and so is Ilhan Omar. Yes, okay. The Federal Elections Commission states that salary payments may continue until the date of the general election, Politico reported. Tlaib's office has responded to the reports. However, they claim she has done nothing wrong, noting she has fully complied with the law and acted in good faith at all times. Right. Oh, it's laughable, isn't it? Representative Tlaib has cooperated completely with the committee to resolve the referral, which involves the same claims over her publicly disclosed salary during the campaign that conservative groups pressed back in March. Tlaib spokesperson Denzel McCampbell said, it's on its face, it looks like the $2,000 payment on November 16 might be for the candidate's salary for the first 2 weeks of November, a law and government ethics lawyer said to the Washington Free Beacon back in March. The lawyer then noted that Tlaib stopped being candidate halfway through this period, but it appears that she kept collecting her salary as if she was still a candidate through the first 2 weeks of November. Well, that's nice of her, isn't it? The more concerning payment is the $15,500 one she made to herself, considering this is much more than Tlaib typically paid herself for the month. Yeah, that's a pretty good salary. Gee, I'd like to make $15,500 in a month. Wouldn't you? Well, maybe you do. I don't know, but I most certainly do not. And gee, must be kind of nice. You just write yourself a check for whatever you want. The $15,500 payment is interesting, to say the least. It's not 100% clear what she's doing, but what she may have done is to lowball her earlier payments for political purposes at $2,000, knowing full well that she would make up the difference at the end by giving herself a lump sum payment, the lawyer added. That would let her skirt negative publicity of the sort that Alan Keyes generated when he paid himself a sizable salary. An after-the-fact lump sum payment cuts against the purpose of the rule, which is to help the candidate pay for daily living expenses while campaigning. So it's a little late after the campaign's done and she's been elected to start paying herself for her campaign. Ridiculous. And who pays for this? Well, I guess the people that donated to her. I can't really say that it's taxpayer money because it's people that donated to her, but still. So it says, check out what the Daily Wire reported. According to an FEC spokesperson, a candidate can pay themselves after the general election only for the period that occurred up to the day of the election. So, I'm sorry, I'm hearing music somewhere. Not sure what that is, but there's music playing. I'm still alive, aren't I? I hope I am. All right. So Tlaib has been one of the most vocal anti-Trump leaders in the House, vowing on the day she was elected to impeach the mother effer. Yeah. And in fact, that's her new campaign slogan. So there you go. All right. Let's go back and see what we have here, what we can get into in the time we have remaining. And I love this by Cat Turd. And you know I love me my Cat Turd. Love Cat Turd. So, and he says, LMAO, New York Times, anti-Kavanaugh book deemed an epic bomb. Only 3,120 sold. Wow. Wow. I've sold a heck of a lot more books than that, and I'm nobody. Yeah. The New York Times anti-Kavanaugh book, epic bomb, 3,120 books sold. Wow. That's embarrassing. Really. That's embarrassing. But it shows you where the American people are, where they're at. They saw through that. So, yeah. Interesting, no? Okay. This is really kind of, well, I would say that it's a little bit trivial. That's the word I'm looking for, trivial. But I'm going to show it to you anyway because it's time to have some fun with someone who believes they're suing, actually, because they believe their iPhone turned them gay. That's right. You heard me. Their iPhone turned them gay. So let's take a look at this. Why? Because after looking at all that other stuff, don't we need something a little lighter? I bet you can hear that. My mother's here, and I think she's checking her messages. All right, so let's take a look at this. Now, it says a Russian man has sued Apple because an iPhone app allegedly convinced him to try being gay, and now he can't get out. I hate that when your cell phone turns you gay. Really. So the man identified as D. Razumilov sued the tech giant on September 20th in Moscow. Presnetsky District Court. He claimed that he turned homosexual after ordering Bitcoin on the iPhone app in 2017. The Govorit Moskva radio station reported last week. He said that instead of the non-gay cryptocurrency he received one called Gay Coin, along with a note saying, "Don't judge until you try." That simple message unleashed forbidden thoughts that would destroy his life, he said. I thought, in truth, how can I judge something? I don't want to look at that. There's blood in that video, and I do not like blood. Okay. Oh, and it's still up here. Okay. So anyway, he said, I thought, in truth, how can I judge something without trying? I decided to try same-sex relationships, he recounted in the lawsuit. Now I have a boyfriend, and I do not know how to explain this to my parents. So he sues iPhone for turning him gay. Alrighty then. That was one especially for you tiny phone people. I know many of you listen to this on your tiny little phones. Now, if you have an iPhone, be careful. Don't let it turn you gay. I'm just saying I felt inclined to give that warning. So there you go. And perhaps we will get back to something more, pertinent. So let's go back and see what else we have. We have so much, but I don't know what to get into. Oh yes. What about Jussie Smollett? Let's get all up into some Jussie Smollett. He's in trouble. The Nigerian brothers are back, and it looks like Smollett may be going down. Well, let's hope so. He deserves to go down for what he did. The special prosecutor in Jussie Smollett's case met last week with two Nigerian-American brothers who police say helped the actor stage a hate crime against himself. Abel and Ola Osundaro, who were originally suspected in the attack, were caught on video visiting the office of Dan Webb, according to TMZ. The brothers each spent a couple of hours with the prosecutor's team, the tabloid reported, citing anonymous sources. In January, Smollett, a star of Fox Empire TV show, made national headlines by claiming that two masked men jumped him outside his Chicago apartment, calling him racist and homophobic slurs, and shouting, "This is MAGA country." According to his account, they poured what he believed was bleach on him and put a noose around his neck. And, of course, we know none of that happened. Chicago police at first investigated the incident as a possible hate crime. Many other celebrities, as well as activists, politicians, and journalists rushed to condemn not just the attackers, but the supposed state of President Donald Trump's America. Oh, yes. Well, of course, we know that whole hoax was to blame Donald Trump. Of course, it's Donald Trump's fault that these men attacked him. Of course, they were black men, and of course it was staged, but hey, it was still Donald Trump's fault. However, in February, police arrested Smollett and charged him with felony disorderly conduct for allegedly orchestrating the attack as a publicity stunt. Fox cut ties with the actor and removed him from the final 2 episodes of Empire Season 5, which was canceled after one more season. And did we get any apologies for any of that? Did they get on mainstream media and apologize for any of that? No, of course not. No. In March, the Office of Cook County State Attorney Kim Fox dismissed all 16 charges against Smollett, outraging other city officials. Police in April sued Smollett for $130,000 in costs relating to investigating his allegations. Cook County Judge Michael Tuman in August appointed Webb, a former federal prosecutor, to reinvestigate the case of Smollett, and Webb has the power to reinstate the charges, which is very good news, right? Well, meanwhile, Smollett has maintained his innocence. Imagine. I mean, he's caught red-handed, but he still says, I'm innocent. It's Trump's fault. Orange man bad. Orange man bad. Right? That's what he said. Well, maybe not in those words, but... Responding last week to a mocking Instagram post by self-help internet personality Derek Jackson, Smollett slammed those who don't believe his debunked story. No, Jesse Smollett, we don't believe your story. You've been caught red-handed, and you should apologize. With all due respect, brother, y'all can clown me all you want, but my story has actually never changed, and I haven't lied about a thing, Smollett told Jackson. Y'all can continue to be misinformed, internalized sheep who believe what actual proven liars feed you, or you can read the actual docs. Either way, I'ma be all right. I know me and what happened. You don't, so carry on. All love. Well, that was from Jesse Smollett there. And, you know, he's been caught. He was already charged $130,000 by the police. You know, he's caught. Why doesn't he just say, you know what? I staged this hate attack. I'm sorry. And of course, we know his ties to Kamala Harris. So that's not surprising. Yeah. So anyway, Smollett's lawyer, William J. Quinlan, last month told the Chicago Sun-Times, my client from the beginning has maintained his innocence and disputed the city's allegations. Well, yeah, he's going down. This new lawyer has the right to reinstate new charges against him. We know that Kim Foxx, the one that was supposed to or should have prosecuted, is extremely corrupt, has a very long history of corruption. And now the Nigerian brothers are back and they're talking to Webb. So what does that show? It shows I think that there's something going to be done about this, and there should be. This should not be allowed. It is a drain on the police force. They're investigating crimes that never happened. And it's an insult to the American people, claiming that, you know, these I think well, he said that they were shouting, this is MAGA country. And I think he said, didn't he say that they had a MAGA hat or something on? I can't remember that now, but who knows? All right. Let's get out of here. Let's see if there are any small things I can get to before we end. There's so much, my gosh. So much. And I've got to get us caught up. I'm hoping to do that next week because there is a bunch of this to go over. Let me see if there's anything else up here that I must get to. See, all of these are kind of in-depth things to get into. I think we already covered this one about the man in Regina, that they recalled his license plate because it said MAGA on it. And I think we have covered the takeover of France, so I'm not sure. Maybe some of these we have already covered. But, yeah, I think we have. So I did want to show you this, though, because you know that, you know, all this talk at AOC, her town meeting, when the woman stood up and said about climate change and it's time for us to eat the babies and we've got to eat babies. And, you know, AOC obviously wasn't all that shocked about it, which I thought right there something was up with that. Because if I was speaking at a town hall meeting and a lady stood up and said, we've got to eat the babies, don't you see? We've got to eat babies. I think I'd be a little shocked. And I think, first of all, I'd take the microphone away from her. And second of all, I'd call security to escort her out. None of that was done. But it's interesting now that we've got that Swedish climate scientist saying that we need to start eating, human beings, basically, is what he said. Not basically, that's what he did say. And then we had this at AOC's town hall meeting. Plus, it's come out now that this woman was a plant for sure. They did that. Now, for what reason they did it, I don't know, but they did. And so then I ran across this, and we know that, as strange as it sounds, the Simpsons have predicted, well, they predicted 9/11, the Pentagon, all sorts of things. So here we have in a Simpsons episode, and I think this is a recent one, we have a woman eating a sandwich with a baby inside. Now, isn't that interesting? And this person, called someone random, said, OMG, the Simpsons predicted this. Where's all this talk coming from? Well, I'll tell you where it's coming from. They're trying to normalize this because they know what's about to come out. And they're trying to make it sound normal. Well, it isn't normal to any of us, and it never will be. So, just found that very interesting in light of everything that happened at AOC's meeting. Found it very interesting indeed. So, something for you guys to think about. And what I'm going to do now is I think I'm going to wrap it up for tonight, and I will be back tomorrow. I guess that's a warning. So I'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully, I don't know if I'll be able to. My father-in-law, he's doing better. Or my father-in-law, I don't know why I end up calling him that. It is my stepfather. I am not married, so I have no father-in-law. But my stepfather is still hospitalized, and he's doing a bit better, but still hospitalized. And so I'm not sure how my days are going to go over the next few days, but I will try when I can to slip in an extra recording so that I can get caught up on some of this news, because I think I owe you that much. So there you go. I'm going to say good night for now. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for all that you do for me, all your support, your prayers, your comments. Some of your comments keep me laughing, let me tell you. And the letters and cards and Patreon supporters and coffee donations, I appreciate it all. Thank you guys so much. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth. Why? Because deception bites. Good night.